Hi, it's Den, and tonight I want to talk about Stephen King's 1408. I saw the movie two or three times and I really liked it. I like John Cusack. It was done well, it was great. But I had the book, Everything's Eventual. The short story is in this book years before that, and I like it a little more due to one part. It's towards the end when the phone starts ringing. They touch on it a little bit in the movie, but I don't feel like they went far enough. It was short. Like he gets a phone call and it's like this is 7, this is 8, something something, and then the phone melts. But in the story, it's quite a bit longer. It keeps ringing and it's a series of numbers. It's creepy and they say weird things, and I just found it terrifying. So I thought I would read that part in the story and talk about it. Okay, so let's see. Let's start this. Let's find out what 1408 is even about. What is the story 1408 about?
Here's the synopsis of 1408. Mike Enslin, John Cusack, is a successful author who enjoys worldwide acclaim debunking supernatural phenomena before he checks into the Dolphin Hotel. That is, ignoring the warnings of the hotel manager, Samuel L. Jackson, he learns the meaning of real terror when he spends the night in a reputedly haunted room.
Okay, so 1408 from Everything's Eventual. And I, of course, am not going to read the whole story. I just wanted to talk about the part that I feel wasn't done justice in the movie. Again, I really like the movie, but they just briefly went over it. And I just found it so much scarier in the story. So Mike is staying in the haunted hotel room at the Dolphin Hotel. He doesn't believe in it. He's a skeptic, even though he writes ghost stories for a living. He doesn't really believe them. He's never really experienced anything. He did lose his young daughter, which is very tragic, and his life is falling apart. So he decides to stay in this hotel that he's heard is haunted and give it another shot, try to write a book or something, and jumpstart his life again, I guess. And it goes really, really badly because it really is haunted. Okay, so he's been through a lot. The room is really haunted, far beyond ghost. It's terrible. It's a strange, strange place that has cost a lot of lives. Most everyone that's been in there has died or committed suicide. So he didn't believe any of that. He's already been through some really, really bad stuff in this room. He just wants out. He can't get out. So let's start there where the phone will start ringing. Okay. He meant to jab out a hand to the old fashioned telephone, the twin of the one in the bedroom, and snatch it up. Instead, he watched his arm descend to the table in a kind of delirious slow motion, so like the arm of a diver he almost expected to see bubbles rising from it. He closed his fingers around the handset and picked it up. His other hand dove, as deliberate as the first, and dialed 0. As he put the handset of the phone against his ear, he heard a series of clicks as the dial spun back to its original position. It sounded like the wheel on Wheel of Fortune. Do you want to spin or do you want to solve the puzzle? Remember that if you try to solve the puzzle and fail, you will be put out into the snow beside the Connecticut Turnpike and the wolves will eat you. There was no ring in his ear. Instead, a harsh voice simply began speaking. This is 9, 9. This is 9, 9. This is 10, 10. We have killed your friends. Every friend is now dead. This is 6, 6. Mike listened with growing horror, not at what the voice was saying, but at its rasping emptiness. It was not a machine-generated voice, but it wasn't a human voice either. It was the voice of the room, the presence pouring out of the walls and the floor, the presence speaking to him from the telephone. Had nothing in common with any haunting or paranormal event he had ever read about. There was something alien here. No, not here yet, but coming. It's hungry, and your dinner. The phone fell from his relaxing fingers as he turned around. It swung at the end of the cord, the way his stomach was swinging back and forth inside him. And he could still hear that voice rasping out of the black. 18. This is now 18. Take cover when the siren sounds. This is 4. 4. He was not aware of taking the cigarette from behind his ear and putting it in his mouth, or of fumbling the book of matches with the old-fashioned gold frog doorman on it out of his bright shirt's right breast pocket. Not aware that, after 9 years, he finally decided to have a smoke. Before him, the room had begun to melt. It was sagging out of its right angles and straight lines, not into curves, but into strange, Moorish arcs that hurt his eyes. The glass chandelier in the center of the ceiling began to sag like a thick glob of spit. The pictures began to bend, turning into shapes like the windshields of old cars. From behind the glass of the picture by the door leading into the bedroom, the 20s woman with the bleeding nipples and grinning cannibal teeth whirled around and ran back up the stairs, going with jerky, delirious high-knee pissoning of a vamp in a silent movie. The telephone continued to grind and spit, the voice coming from it now the voice of an electric hair clipper that had learned to talk. 5. This is 5. Ignore the siren. Even if you leave this room, you can never leave this room. 8. This is 8. The door to the bedroom and the door to the hall had begun to collapse downward, widening in the middle and becoming doorways for beings possessed of unhallowed shapes. The light began to grow bright and hot, filling the room with that yellow-orange glow. Now he could see rips in the wallpaper, black pores that quickly grew to become mouths. The floor sank into concave arc, and now he could hear it coming, the dweller in the room behind the room, the thing in the walls, the owner of the buzzing voice. 6, the phone screamed. 6, this is 6. This is goddamn fucking 6. He looked down at the matchbook in his hand, the one he had plucked out of the bedroom ashtray. Funny old doormen, funny old cars with their big chrome grills, and words running across the bottom that he hadn't seen in a long time, because now the strip of abrasive stuff was always on the back. Close cover before striking. Without thinking about it, he no longer could think. Mike Insland tore out a single match, allowing the cigarette to drop out of his mouth at the same time. He struck the match and immediately touched it to the others in the book. There was a sound, strong whiff of burning sulfur that went into his head like a whiff of smelling salts, and the bright flare of match heads. And again, without so much as a single thought, Mike held the flaring bouquet of fire against the front of his shirt. It was a cheap thing made in Korea or Cambodia or Borneo. Old now, it caught fire at once. Before the flames could blaze up in front of his eyes, rendering the room once more unstable, Mike saw it clearly, like a man who had awakened from a nightmare only to find the nightmare all around him. Okay, and that was the part, I don't know why, but for me it was just so creepy to be trapped in this horrible room and the phone ringing and just saying, this is 9, this is 9, this is 10, all your friends are dead, this is 4. Like, the numbers aren't even in sequence. Something about that was just really horrifying to me. I love Stephen King. I just love his stories. I love his short stories especially. They're great. So I guess that's it. Sorry I butchered that reading. I don't read out loud. I've been trying to do a little bit on my channel, but I'm not a narrator. I don't read out loud very well. But I just wanted to share that. So hopefully you've seen 1408 or read the story, or you want to. I didn't read it all. I don't want to give it all away, but it's just something I had recently. I was bored one night and I saw that was available. I don't know where. And I watched it again. It's been years and it was great. But yeah, I wish they had done a little more with that phone and and the voices and the numbers just a little further. Okay, well, thank you for putting up with me. You made your way through this. I'll be back again. Den out.